This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, hey, everybody. It is time for your Monday Night Raw review for this Tuesday, the 15th day of April, 2025. We are a mere few days away from WrestleMania beginning and everything in between. The lead up to it, the Hall of Fame. We've got NXT. We've still got an episode of SmackDown to go. All the little news coming in between that. It is wall-to-wall professional wrestling over the next week. And then, of course, after WrestleMania, you have the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. And what all the expectations that come with that. And so it's going to be a hell of a next 7 days. First, I want to thank everybody for joining us on the live show we did on Sunday for the Weekend Review. We're going to continue that thread with more live shows throughout the week. We're going to announce those on X. So follow us at the WWE Podcast on X. Our handle is actually the wrestling_audio, but you search the WWE Podcast, we're the verified account. And you can also follow us on Instagram, although not really on there too much, at WWE Podcast, and on our Patreon, which is a great place to go right now because you get a free 7 days. So if you want everything ad-free for the next 7 days, and we're going to have a hell of a lot of wrestling content the next week, that's a great place to go for an ad-free experience for free. And Apple Podcasts as well offers a week free trial. So if you guys want to, just jump on board and then bail ship before we charge you, I mean, I'm not recommending you do, but it's available to you. But we hope you stick around and enjoy the content that we deliver. We're also giving you an exclusive After Dark show that we just posted for those who are on the NXT Plus and above. We've got the After Dark show done by Luis Gonzalez. I just posted that tonight. So let's dive into Monday Night Raw. And actually, before I do that, there was a comment made by Triple H. He did an interview on a podcast or some talk show. Forgive me for not remembering the name, but just recently, over the last couple of days, he said, quote, that wrestling isn't real life. Or I'm sorry, the internet isn't real life. Wrestling is real life, but the internet's not real life. And he's basically complaining about the complaints online. Well, look, I got news for you there, Trips. This so-called internet that doesn't mean anything changed the main event of last year's WrestleMania. Okay, by a simple hashtag. By a simple hashtag, the Divas Give Divas a Chance started the women's revolution. Okay, so don't tell me that the internet doesn't really reflect real life. I understand that there can be no carryover from the people complaining to what you hear in the arenas. That happens sometimes. But for them to just disregard the internet as not real life, first of all, we're not living in an alternate reality. We are in real life while participating on the internet. The fact that we're participating on the internet doesn't mean that we're exempt from being in real life. I think what he means is what you hear and see people do online doesn't always necessarily reflect to the in-person accounts. And I get that. You hear and see people do and say things online they'd never say to your face. I guess that's the principle here. But for them to just disregard social media, him to just disregard social media when it gets toxic or people complain, yet at the same time, they are constantly posting every 5 minutes on their social media about this and that. I mean, not even during WrestleMania season. I mean, year round, that they're constantly putting stuff on social media, touting how many followers they have, all these things. And yet it doesn't really matter if it's negative. I mean, sorry, Triple H, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell us social media is huge and it means everything and we listen to fans, then at the same time go, well, if we hear complaining, we don't listen to those people. It's not real life anyway. That doesn't work, okay? And it is real life. It is real life. There's a medium between people now. You put a screen in front of people and between people, but it's still real people participating. Yes, there's bots and all that, but for the most part, it's real people, so that means it's real life. I totally disagree with Triple H on that. I understand his premise. I understand what he was getting at, but sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I give you an example of last year's WrestleMania with an effing hashtag changing the entire main event. A hashtag, a simple hashtag that a bunch of people put online. WWE goes, well, okay. I guess no more Rock Roman. We're going with Cody now. So I don't want to hear your crap. Sorry, Trips. Love you, man, but you're wrong. Anyway, I wanted to make sure I got that out. Now, Monday Night Raw, as expected, not a ton of wrestling, some video packages. We got some go-home promos, some final interactions. Nothing revolutionary. Probably the biggest item coming out of Monday Night Raw, of course, is the Roman, Seth, and Punk segment at the end with Roman and Paul, and the speculation that we could have seen the last of Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns at the end of Monday Night Raw as far as an alliance goes, and where do Paul Heyman's loyalties lie? Is this a setup? I mean, again, there's really no revelation. Nothing new here. Nothing new to see. We still have Roman Reigns being tummy hurt that his manager decided to just owe someone a favor and be in his corner at WrestleMania. It's, to me, I know they're trying to sell me that this is the biggest triple threat of all time. It's not. Sorry. On paper, name value, as I've said, yeah, sure. Star-wise, it's one of the biggest triple threats at WrestleMania. But there's, with no consequence, I don't know how people are supposed to get emotionally invested in this. I just don't get it outside of, I love Punk, or Punk's my favorite wrestler, or Roman's my favorite wrestler, or Seth's my favorite wrestler. Like, the motivations are very elementary. There's nothing to dig into. It's just, oh, okay, who's Paul Heyman going to turn on? Which one of the three is he going to turn on? Maybe two. Who is he going to join? Is it Seth? Is it, like, that's it. I'm sorry to downplay that. There could be something massive coming from it. I continue to say that Brock Lesnar showing up would be a really fun moment with Paul Heyman and with Brock and with Roman and with Punk, with those three. Then where do his loyalties lie? I mean, yeah, it gets fun with Brock Lesnar because I do love Brock as a wrestler. But I don't think that, I'm not predicting that to happen. That's the only way they'd make me slightly interested, is some kind of massive return at the end of this that starts something brand new, because there's nothing consequential about this other than, again, like pride and I guess so. I want a match that has nothing to really stand on and go, hey, I win this. Hey, look at this, everybody. I've got, oh, that's right, nothing. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to poo-poo on this. I'm sure it's going to be a really good match, and that's what I'll lean on, is just quality of the wrestling, and that's kind of it for me. But we also got, as we start the Monday Night Raw review, let's just start right from the top, as we sometimes do most of the time. And we got, let's see here, I'm going to my notes. We got Gunther coming out, and we had Gunther and Michael Cole in the ring. And Cole said he was expected this to occur later in the show, but they could get to it, and Cole brought up Jey being a different person last week. Gunther cut off Cole and recalled Jey, claiming he was unafraid of him anymore, and Gunther was booed loudly and said that Jey's full of crap. Cole said Gunther seemed frustrated and brought up last year's WrestleMania. The crowd chanted yeet, and then Gunther pulled the mic away from Cole, and Gunther said, screw Jey, screw what he stands for, and everyone who stands with him, and said he's been a champion for 80% of his time in WWE, and boasted that he's the greatest world champion of all time. Gunther said he would put Jey down for a fourth consecutive time, and said he was in full control when he took a bath in Jimmy's blood, and Gunther said he's looking forward to calling his mother and telling her how much he enjoyed beating the living hell out of Jey and walking out of WrestleMania 41 still as world heavyweight champion. He left the ring. So Gunther, again, I think he did just fine here. Little rage, like he's a little rattled by Jey. I think that this is the right move here by not having Jey and Gunther get physical last night. Definitely the right move. What I really am hoping for fans, though, can we collectively stop booing over heels promos? I understand it's kind of like the trendy thing to do. Dom was one of the first ones to get that treatment. Not the first ever, but one of the first consistent heels to get that treatment. It was, I even remember Vicky Guerrero when she was the GM of SmackDown, because she had such a shrill voice, getting that treatment. But Dom, unfortunately, we don't get to hear from him much on the mic, which is really a shame. I understand it's cool and it's funny that we get to interrupt promos and wow, the crowd gets to actually control what happens on air. And we do to some extent sometimes. And last night we, when I say that collectively, the fans in attendance here, were able to boo out and drown out a lot of what Gunther said, which is unfortunate. I don't want this to become a thing. You guys don't want to hear what the heels have to say? It's kind of half the story. Yeah, I understand that baby faces are, typically good promos and they're exciting and you want to hear what they have to say, but that's only as good as sometimes what they can bounce off the heels of. I mean, in other words, if the heels say something and you want the baby face to shine, well, you can only do that if the heels are able to speak. So there's a tit for tat. If you're going to boo everything and drown out every word that a heel says, you're going to cut cut off your nose to spite your face. There's the saying. I really disagree with this. I really do. Not forever and ever. There are certain times where, like Roman Reigns after WrestleMania 33, the FU Roman booing every time he put his mouth to the mic. There are certain times where it's warranted, but as a general treatment of heels, I don't want this to become a thing. Half the story is going to be tainted because fans want to get involved. If I was WWE, here's what I'd do. Talk right through it. I wouldn't back down and backstep into, pre-tape promos. You can do that, here and there. I would just say the F the fans. If they want to boo, you know what will eventually happen? The fans will lose. You know why the fans will lose? Because the fans will realize, hey, I'm paying, good money to be here. And I do enjoy stories. If you didn't, you wouldn't be watching pro wrestling. Which means if I'm going to boo through what this guy's saying, then I'm going to kind of screw myself out of part of the story. And maybe I should be quiet. So if I were the WWE, I would just plow through the boos. I know it's distracting. I know that there, a lot of people in attendance probably can't hear. At home, we can hear a little bit better. But that's what I would do. Just say F it. Plow right through it. Don't feed it. When the heel pauses, it's feeding this epidemic. Because the heels are acknowledging that you're screwing up what I'm about to say, which feeds their egos even more and accuse them to, oh, wait, we've got him. Let's keep going. If the heels don't acknowledge it as if the fans aren't there and he's in an empty arena, then the fans get more annoyed and go, well, we tried. Okay, let's listen to what he has to say. So that's my 2 cents on that, because I noticed it with Gunther last night and I'm like, oh, no, please, no. Let's not do this. Let's not make this the next what chant of just booing everything heels say. Bad choice, bad idea. So we then have, let's see here. By the way, short Raw, 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 hours and 20 some minutes. That's fine with me. Given all the content we have coming this week, didn't make me cry. And I love the flexibility they have of not putting a ton of filler in to hit that 3 hour mark, that they're not required to hit the 3 hour mark. It's a higher quality show when you don't have to fill time. All right, a video package aired with Bianca Belair on the Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania 41. She spoke about how the situation with Jade and Naomi screwed her up. She also spoke about standing up for herself and how her parents should want their kids to do that. She expressed unhappiness with the match being a triple threat, but said she would walk out of WrestleMania as champion. So some hints here of heel, some hints. Nothing crazy, and that's probably the best way to promote this match right now. Not much more to do. This is the go home show. It's a go home show to WrestleMania for Raw. This is fine. There's not much more to do. We get it. The story's here. Recap in this instance was fine. Now, before I get to the Liv Morgan Bayley match, I know a lot of you, including myself, are really kind of perplexed by the fact that a couple of people, prominent people, are left off of WrestleMania in terms of the card. One of them, Sami Zayn. The other, of course, our Chelsea Green, Women's Intercontinental Champion. U.S. Champion. It is a bit concerning that both of them, given their prominent roles throughout the year and match of the year candidate that Sami Zayn had with Kevin Owens, they are not on the card. Doesn't mean they won't show up in some capacity, but it's kind of amazing. Kind of amazing. Sad. All right, Liv Morgan and Bayley. This match went pretty long, nearly 13 minutes. Bayley ends up beating Liv Morgan. The finish was Valkyria attacking Rodriguez, who put her down with a big boot. Rodriguez climbed on the apron and was attacked by Bayley, who hit her with I guess it was some kind of stunner. Morgan put Bayley down with a backstabber and went for Oblivion, but Valkyria held Bayley back, which allowed her to basically miss the Oblivion and then got a jackknife pin to get the 3 count, and Bayley beats Liv in 13 minutes. This is fine. I think Bayley getting, I mean, she's on a roll like she hasn't been on in a couple of years. I mean, I know she's only competing for the women's tag titles, but this was a pretty significant win for Bayley, given the fact that Liv Morgan was just women's world champion. So I don't think fans have forgotten that. So Bayley beating Liv here, kind of a big deal. And is it a foreshadowing of things to come with Liv losing the belts with her partner Raquel Rodriguez to Bayley and Lyra? Maybe. Predictions to come this Friday. No, spoiler. But the one thing, though, with Raquel Rodriguez, boy, she's boring. She is boring, man. I was hoping when she turned heel it'd be a lot more fun, because her as a babyface was not good either. Because all she would do is just show you how toned her back muscles are, and that's kind of her whole thing. And as a heel, she's got a jacket. She's trying to be a little more badassery, but I'm still not buying it. And maybe there is a personality under there that we're not seeing. Her character, man, she's boring. She's pretty good in the ring, and she's a powerhouse of a woman. It's just that her character is just a snooze fest. I don't feel one way or the other for her, which is the worst place to be. I just have nothing for her. She's like an inanimate object. And I don't mean that disrespectfully for her as a person, as a human being, just her character. I mean, she's like a filing cabinet. It's just there. You don't really have any emotion. I hope you don't have any emotions for a filing cabinet, or pick your inanimate object of choice, a pencil, a shelf. Okay. I don't know, a notebook. That's how I feel towards Raquel Rodriguez, because they haven't really given me a reason to feel for her. I don't mean to target her, but she's been back now for a little while since her illness, which I'm glad she got better. But I was thinking, okay, she's finally heel. Good choice. And then they just didn't do anything with her. I don't know. It's weird to say that, given that she's in a championship match at WrestleMania. But her character is just, my God, bore me to tears. Alrighty. Let's go to the next topic here. We had Rhea Ripley featured in a promo video. And Ripley said, Bianca claims she called it down the middle when she worked as the ref for her title match with Io Sky, but she's shown her true colors and thrived on making her out to be the bad person. Ripley told Sky to cherish every moment she has left with the championship and said she can't wait to show Bianca what happens when she's the bad guy and takes her title back. So everybody's getting their say here. It was fine. Again, all of it's just fine and exactly what this program needed. All three women kind of done what they need to do with each other in the ring. They said what they need to say to each other. Now it's just let's execute, see where they're going. I'm really looking forward to this match. I really am. As I've said on my Week in Review live show, I was going into this kicking and screaming because I didn't want a third person, and I still don't. But they've gotten me much more excited than I thought I would be for this triple threat. Because of the level of talent of Io Sky and how it feels fun to be kind of behind Io Sky. I mean, I'm, as a fan, I'm rooting for Io Sky to win and retain. I really am. But again, there's a strong possibility of Bianca winning and turning heel. And I'd say a small chance of Rhea Ripley, although not insignificant, of reclaiming the belt. It's a fun program. And I don't know when to talk about this. I'll talk about it. I'll save it for the end of the show. All right, because I've started a. I'm not saying I went viral. I didn't, but I guess I've gotten a lot of attention on social media, at least from, again, my bar of how often I get talked about. I had some comments about Rhea Ripley and her picture of breaking the internet that I don't know, over 50,000 people saw, and it's probably more than that now. I'm not touting the numbers to say, look at me, I've got no, it's just to give you the scope of the amount of pushback I got on a picture that Rhea posted. You already know what picture I'm talking about. We'll get to that at the end of the show, okay? And it's just because I want to get through Raw and not go off track too far, all right? And it's also a hook to get you to keep listening, but it's kind of I don't want it to go so far because I feel like it's going to take a few minutes to go down that road. So let's go to Rey Mysterio taking on Julius Creed. And let's see here. We had the finish of Rey Mysterio beating Julius Creed, which was about 10 minutes. El Grande Americano runs out, but was cut off by Rey on the ramp. Rey went for Americano's mask, but Julius rolled up Rey for a 2 count. And then Rey sent Julius into Americano, who fell on the apron. And Rey hit a 619 on Julius Creed and was followed up by dropping a dime for the win. After the match, El Grande Americano attacked Rey, and the LWO members ran out to help Rey while American Made followed. And Americano headbutted Lee while the broadcast team assumed that he had a piece of steel mask in him. And Americano followed up with a top rope headbutt on Rey. And there was the reminder of his piece of metal that he put in his head last week. So it's fine. I really am. I'm enjoying this like a lot of other people are. I'm not pretending to be offended on behalf of an entire population of people. Okay. I'm not of that belief. I already talked about that many times. But I really enjoy this, Grande Americano, and then Chad Gable saying that he doesn't have a match at WrestleMania, but he's happy for the new upstarts and the new guys like a Grande Americano coming in. And we all know that it's, as many people have said, and it kind of leaked out that El Grande Americano's identity is actually Omos. So it's kind of obvious, right? Just look. It's very clear it's Omos, right? I don't know why they just don't take the mask off and show everyone who he really is and stop with this nonsense. But that's the prevailing thought on social media anyway, which has been a lot of fun. And here's the one thing too, other piece of news coming out is that apparently WWE, with all the backlash or imaginary or just completely manufactured backlash from the Grande Americano character and them announcing him coming from the Gulf of America, they've now changed that to the Gulf of Mexico. Apparently, when they announce his entrance, that's what it's going to be back to because of the, I don't know, political ramifications of Donald Trump changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And so the fans are, those that are the whining, kicking, and screaming, or whatever activist groups are coming after WWE, there's got to be a real reason for them to do this because to me, it's ridiculous. This is pro wrestling. I would tell them, whoever the activist groups are, people, I'd just tell them to F off. And this is pro wrestling. If your life is that fragile that you get offended or pretend to be offended by the origin of a imaginary wrestling character, then I think you have bigger problems to solve in your life. But the other thing is too, to be fair, the Gulf of Mexico doesn't exist anymore. If we're going to be accurate, it was officially changed to the Gulf of America. Like it or not, I understand. I don't care. Look, it's not a political show. I'm only bringing up Donald Trump and saying his name because that's the implication of saying Gulf of America for WWE. I think that's why they got rid of it. Then maybe they don't want the association or the attention. But the fact is, the name was changed by our president. It just was. I don't care if you love him or hate him. It's irrelevant. It's a fact. So, given the name was changed, the Gulf of Mexico is actually incorrect. It's factually incorrect. So, the Gulf of Mexico is actually more imaginary than the Gulf of America. Anyway. So, let's continue. And Eric and Ivar were featured in a promo video. Again, video heavy show, not unexpected. And to be honest, it's kind of a nice Nice change. Kind of a wrap up. Where are we at? Video recaps, final promos. It's kind of a nice like tie everything together type show. We'll also get that on SmackDown. And we had New Day. Kofi and Xavier take the cowardly way out last week because they knew they couldn't win. That's what Eric and Ivar said. Eric said New Day tried to end his career by targeting his neck. Ivar said it won't be a fight. He said this is war. And New Day were informed by Jackie Redmond in a backstage area that the War Raiders had declared war. They said they've been at war with the locker room and the fans. Woods said the fans have no choice but to raise their hands in unison and say, thank God for the New Day. Where's Big E? I mean, I'm just going to say, where the hell is Big E? We need Big E. We were teased with it. We saw the big turn, the fun turn months ago with the New Day and Big E. Still hoping, fingers crossed, for a New Day interaction with Big E at WrestleMania. I'm not predicting it officially yet, but that's kind of what we were leading to. AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross has his original music back, original entrance. I think it's fine. And we had AJ Styles beat Karrion Kross in just about 10 minutes with the phenomenal forearm. Somewhat competitive match for Karrion Kross, who continues to not be able to find his path. They just turn the engine on and turn it off and turn it on and turn it off and put it in first gear and then put it in park. I don't know what they're doing with Karrion. I don't think they know what they're doing with Karrion Kross. There is something there. The dude has a presence. They just haven't been able to put it all together, or at least let him go consistently. Probably a little of both. I know if I was Karrion Kross, I'd be like, hey man, I'm on TV every 2 months. It's kind of hard to get over when that happens. But he's got a magnetic presence to him. He's got that kind, definitely a very much suited to be a heel. He had, his faction that, I'm not sure that seemingly went nowhere, but I was hopeful for it. And then it goes nowhere. It's been the MO for Karrion Kross's career, and it sucks because there's a lot more there. Now he's in a prominent match with one of the biggest names in the industry, AJ Styles, and he loses in 10 minutes. This wasn't a squash. That's a good thing. So if you're worried that, oh God, he could be part of the list of guys that get fired after WrestleMania, I don't think he's on that list. I wouldn't be worried about Karrion Kross's job, but I am worried about just career-wise. If you're hoping for something bigger for Karrion Kross, it's a little bit discouraging when you've seen years now of them really fumbling and bumbling with him. Not to put it all on WWE's plate in their lap, but again, he's not exactly on TV consistently, to be fair. So after AJ Styles wins, Logan Paul walks out and said that he stood on stage and asked the fans what was up with all the hostility, claiming he was just there to congratulate AJ. And he said the Sacramento fans weren't cool enough to live in LA or smart enough to live in San Francisco. And he asked, actually, San Francisco is one of the most third world cities in the United States. You talk about the homeless rate, drug use. It's a mess. Crime. Okay, so I wouldn't say it's smart to live in San Francisco. All right. Sacramento, I'd much rather live in Sacramento than San Francisco, but my 2 cents. So Paul asked Styles if he wanted to show the fans why their match would make money. Paul told Styles to enjoy a piece of cinema. And a video package aired. And Styles said it was a cute video and invited Paul to start WrestleMania early by coming to the ring. Kross went after Styles, who caught him with a punch. And then Paul came in and Styles caught him with a punch. So right now AJ's got the advantage, but he knew the numbers would catch up, and they did. Because after Kross was put into a inverted DDT, that's when he turned around and was knocked out by a punch from Logan Paul, who followed up with his childishly named finish, the Pulverizer. It sounds like a bad 80s villain name or something, like a bad title for an 80s movie. I continue to just despise the name because it's so just cringy, as I said, but I love the look of it. I love everything about it. other than the name. I know it's called the pulverizer, apparently, by the way. I've been saying pulverizer. So it's Paul Adier. Okay. So now that I'm reading it out loud, maybe I've been duped this whole time. The pulverizer. Still not good. Still a play on, it's still too close to pulverizer. Either way, cringy. Cringy name, awesome look. So Logan Paul gets the better of AJ multiple times now. This is a match just like the Intercontinental title match that I would not sleep on. They put these two together for a reason, thinking that their styles would mesh very well, and I think they will. There's no reason to believe that they won't. It's the quality of the match here that you're really looking forward to. And of course, someone shutting up Logan Paul is always fun. AJ Styles, a grizzled veteran, still at the top of his game. It's going to be a great matchup. It can't not be. It's almost, even if they tried to make it a crappy match, it's going to be hard. It's nearly impossible to have a bad match here. Not going to say they're having an instant 5-star classic, but at like a bottom level minimum 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, that's if they have an incredibly horrible night. Like somebody breaks their leg in the middle of the match. God forbid. So it would lead you to believe that AJ is going to get the victory here at WrestleMania. But I'd be careful of that. I'd be very careful of that rule of thumb that the person who gets the advantage right before the PLE is destined to lose at the PLE. That's not a hard and fast rule. It's generally what happens, but certainly not always. So be careful. If you're using the logic this year of saying, well, so-and-so got the advantage this week or the last couple of times, they must be able to be, that's a clue that they're going to win at WrestleMania. I would be very cautious of using that logic this year. I'm not saying it's going to be the total opposite, but I'm sure there'll be a couple sprinkled in there that are going to surprise you, where they got their ass beat before WrestleMania. They got their, the best of the heel or the babyface, and then that person who continues that at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So be careful. So Jey Uso was shown standing in front of a curtain when his entrance music played. He comes out, the Yeet chants are starting, people are pumping their arms. And Jey said he said what he had to say against Gunther last week, or to him. He said he wanted to talk to his people and said his mother was somewhere in the crowd. Kind of smart he didn't point her out. Smart. Of course he knew where she was. If she was actually there, I do believe she was. You're not going to point out your mom in the crowd. Unless you got security around her. It's just not a smart thing to do. So, but Jey said people want to know where his mind is and whether he's crashing out. What the hell does crashing out mean? Anybody have, all these terms. Gen Z's killing me. What does crashing out mean? Does that mean you're losing it? You're I don't know. It's like he got cooked. Cooking means he got roasted. Right. That's the new, I don't know what crashing out is. Somebody needs to tell me what this is. I'm 40 now. I'm impervious to these new phrases. Jey said he's crashed out, whatever that is, but he's locked in for himself. Crashing out, maybe that means tired. I don't know. His friends, his family, and the fans. He said listening to Gunther speak made it seem like Gunther's mad. And then said it seemed like Gunther was afraid and said he's going to get Gunther. And that's it. And people said yeet. I don't even know why he was there. Just for this. No, there wasn't really a whole lot here to really sink your teeth into. He basically came out to say yeet. It's just a long yeet promo. That's it. It's a kind of just an inconsequential appearance. But if you're there in the arena, it's cool to see Jey and participate in the hands and the yeet and all that. So it's just really a forgettable night for Jey, but fun for the fans in attendance. Okay. So then we have, let's see here. We got, Penta versus Finn Balor. 12-minute match with Penta fighting off Balor to an apparent no contest. This is because we had Penta hit the sacrifice on Balor. Again, this is like the closing segment. He came right back, rolling Penta into a pin, and then Penta mentioned to the crowd for his finish, or motion to the crowd. And then Carlito comes out, distracts him. Balor rolls up Penta for a 2 count. Balor hits a sling blade clothesline and a shotgun drop kick in the corner. Balor looked to the ropes, but froze once he heard a siren. Braun Breaker comes out. Carlito entered the ring and ran out the other side, and Breaker entered the ring and clotheslined Balor to end the match. Dom showed up to help Balor, but Breaker speared Dom and Carlito, and Breaker ran toward Penta for a spear, but Penta caught him with a kick, cleared him from the ring with a really kind of just a bad Hurricane Rana. And Penta drove him from the top rope onto Dom, Breaker, and Carlito. And so, okay, people I think are behind Breaker. I know that Penta is right up there as well, but Breaker has that organic feel. Penta was just brought in from outside the company. Breaker is kind of a homegrown dude, and the fans feel it. They see the intensity, the spears he does, the last week's spear, last week's spear was inhuman on Carlito. And funny how Carlito just took off again. I laughed during that when, it's the same situation, same setup as last week with Carlito at ringside with Braun Breaker coming down the ramp, and Carlito sees it. He's like, he just takes off into the ring. That was pretty funny. He ends up getting speared anyway, a gentler spear than last week, but still funny nonetheless. And you continue to see the downfall of Balor and Dom. We might have seen the last of the Judgment Day. This was definitely a potential final, as we know it today, a final iteration of the Judgment Day. All right, so Io Sky was in her promo video saying her parts. She said that she'd beaten Bianca and Ripley before and will beat them again. So pretty straightforward. And Cole hyped WrestleMania After Dark and listed the events. That's when Paul Heyman was seated in the back of a garage when CM Punk sat down, put his arm around Heyman, and Punk asked Heyman what he saw. And Punk asked Heyman what he saw when he looked into his eyes. The cult of personality, Heyman asked. Punk laughed and said, a real friend. Reigns exited an SUV and saw Heyman seated with Punk. That's when Heyman's jaw dropped and stood up and ran after Reigns, my tribal chief, just begging for his forgiveness. Reigns made his entrance with Heyman walking behind him, and he held up his index finger. Reigns told Sacramento to acknowledge him, and he said that the whole world can hear the fans' love and acknowledge their tribal chief. He said they would never betray their tribal chief, but not everyone is like the fans. Reigns said some people would betray him and asked the crowd if they have any idea who that would be. And the crowd was chanting, "You effed up" to Paul Heyman. And an a-hole chant started, which was kind of surprising. I don't know, what's so bad? What did Paul Heyman do? Paul Heyman didn't do anything here. You can't be Is Roman Reigns that possessive that the person just managing him, that he can't have any other friends outside of him? It's just so nonsensical on so many levels. And then the fans chanting a-hole to Paul Heyman. Why? Explain to me what Paul Heyman did wrong exactly. Did he commit the sin of having multiple friends? Is that the sin, the cardinal sin, the unforgivable sin that he committed? It's ridiculous. But we're all saying, or Paul Heyman is begging for forgiveness and saying, my tribal chief, it was not a betrayal. I paid back a favor that I owed. And Reigns said he was confused because it seemed like the only person you screwed by this favor is him. How did he screw Roman Reigns by... In fact, he helped him. This has zero effect on Roman Reigns' character. Again, I understand it's pro wrestling. I understand it's storytelling. But even in the fantasy world, I can't make this make sense. Paul Heyman is trying to help Roman Reigns and the original bloodline take out Solo's bloodline at Survivor Series War Games. They were down a man. Roman didn't ask for it, but they certainly needed it. Brings in Punk. Punk does it as a favor. Punk and Paul are friends, despite what Roman would like to believe. And then Punk says, okay, you owe me a favor, which again, that's not how friendship should work, but that's like 2 levels deep here. I won't go there. And now Roman is saying that you betrayed me by paying back a favor by just simply standing in a different corner of the ring than you'd like me to? Explain this to me. Somebody, please. So you're simply standing in a different corner, yet that's screwing me? You're the manager. It's not like Paul Heyman is, using brass knucks to help Roman Reigns win every match. Paul Heyman does essentially nothing during a match to help Roman win. Paul Heyman has not done much at all during a match to help Reigns win, even during his 4-year run. So Reigns said he'll never ask for a favor. He said, well, we take what we want. So I don't owe you a favor because I don't ask for any help. I never asked anybody to join me at War Games. And Reigns asked Heyman how he's supposed to cover the tab for your dumbass favor. What tab? How are you screwed? You're just making things up now. What tab? What are you talking about? I'm sorry to tear this angle down, guys. They're trying to make this, they're trying to just completely manufacture something out of nothing. There's just, look in front of your face, everybody. I'm guessing you have maybe a screen, a phone, you got your headphones, whatever you're doing. In front of you, I'm guessing right in front of your face, there's just air, right? Imagine that air is the storyline that they're trying to sell us with Roman and Punk and Seth. They're taking that air and they're trying to create a storyline with it. Can you do that? No, because you can't. But they're trying to do that, right? Physics won't allow you to do that. They're trying to take this air and make a physical object out of it, if that's possible, right? My analogies are getting wacky, but you get my drift. They're doing things you just can't do. And they're trying to tell you they can do it. And making you pretend you see it. And I'm not buying this. I'm not buying any of this. I'm not mad about this angle. I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I'm just passionate about the fact that this is a nonsensical angle with nothing on the line, with grown men who are worried about what corner of the ring Paul Heyman is standing in at WrestleMania. You've got to be joking me. This is WrestleMania. These aren't 3 middle school kids fighting over a girl at recess. This is just... I can't do anything but laugh. So Seth Rollins comes out and he joined Reigns and Heyman. Rollins said Reigns was almost putting the pieces together by himself. He's missing one little piece, and it's too late because he has to end him at WrestleMania. And said it will be the most important triple threat in the history of WrestleMania, the company, and the industry. Now, again, barring some things we can't see because we're fans and we can only see what we see. That is an exceedingly egregious, gross oversell of this match. No, again, barring something crazy I can't see, this is not going to be the most important triple threat in the company in the history of WrestleMania. Now, if you're just taking it in terms of triple threat contexts, even that, not just WrestleMania main events, just triple threats, nope, it's not. Nope. I can name another one. I don't know. Maybe Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. A little bit more of a story there. A little bit more on the line there, would you say? That's just one, right? So anyway, Rollins said the winner, here we go, said the winner of the triple threat will define the future of the industry. What? What? Now, I appreciate Rollins trying to create something out of nothing, as this whole story has done, by telling us, and probably listening, I'm sure he listens to the criticism of fans online and on podcasts, I don't know, probably not this one specifically, but just generally, that there's absolutely nothing on the line, and Rollins is like, whoa, no, there is. He's responding to our criticisms that there's nothing on the line by saying, well, the winner is going to define the future of the industry. Explain that in detail, Seth. How does one define the future of an industry? Break that down for me, would you? What does that mean? There'll be the future in the industry? So the other two getting fired? What does define what it means to be the future of the industry? And then I will understand what you mean. But you won't be able to, and he won't, and they won't. But I appreciate the attempt. So Rollins said, there can be only one, and it has to be him. He said, as far as that piece that Reigns has not figured out, favors are not by chance, they are by choice. And said he could have put Heyman in the hospital last week, but Roman's wise man is a scumbag and he expects nothing from him. Rollins said Heyman is not in Punk's corner by choice. It's by chance. It's by choice. And Rollins said Heyman isn't just returning a favor, he's choosing, and Reigns needed to figure out why he was choosing Punk over him. And Reigns said, you made your choice and I made mine. Reigns blasted Rollins, cleared him from the ring. Heyman was happy and thought that things were all well, but Reigns pie-faced Heyman, who fell to the mat and held his face. That's when CM Punk comes out, cleared the ring of Reigns with the clothesline, and checked on Heyman. And he waited for Punk to turn around and then speared him. Rollins slammed a chair on the back of Reigns while Cole compared it to the one that ended the Shield, which was true. It was very reminiscent of that. Rollins hit stomps on Punk and Reigns to end the show. So, again, just more physicality, more of the same here, except for it looks like Heyman and Reigns are done, perhaps. And if the big turn is, wow, Heyman's with Seth, okay. I'm not excited about who Heyman's going to be with unless, again, there's a revelation. None of these guys need a Heyman transformation. Roman Reigns needed it at that exact time in his career. He was still trying to find his identity. He wasn't yet the tribal chief. He went from the terrible big dog character. That was all fine and well. And he especially needed a mouthpiece at a time when Roman Reigns was not good at cutting promos at all. The idea that any of these three at this point in their careers need Paul Heyman is just a outright lie. I don't buy any of it. So, like, again, I love all four of these guys, including Heyman. I respect all four. This is going to be an amazing match. It can't not be. But if they're trying to sell us that this is the most important future changing match of all time, barring something we can't see, it's not true. It's just not true. They're trying to just tell you that don't believe your lying eyes. What you see, don't believe your eyes. Just trust us. This is a future shifting triple threat. Trust me. It's nonsense. All right. So, one last thing, and we will wrap up the show as I promised with Rhea Ripley here. Rhea Ripley, a few days ago, posted a picture of her, and it was scandalous to say the least. It was in her house, or somebody's house. It wasn't in a gym. Of just basically in underwear. I mean, and to say underwear is probably overselling it a bit. It was a picture. I want to pull it up and describe it exactly here. It was a picture of her in front. Again, it looks like in front of her house in just a bra and underwear. And again, the skimpiest of bras and underwears, and showing off all her, lovely tattoos and all that stuff. Right. Fine. And this was labeled as a quote unquote internet breaker, right? People are saying she broke the internet without even trying, all that. Well, I had put a message out on X, and I said that, this is in response to Zoe Stark. I didn't respond directly to Rhea Ripley's photo. Zoe Stark said to Rhea's photo, pro wrestling, nothing says desperate for attention like forgetting your dignity. And I responded to Zoe Stark and said, I mean, you're not wrong. Quote, respect me. I'm a women's wrestler, not a sex symbol. Also, quote, look at my mostly naked photo. And that sparked a lot of outrage from a lot of people, a lot of feminists, of course, to be expected. And even some men who are pretending to be offended by all this. And a lot of people saying that just because you're seeing a few shoulders doesn't mean she's a sex symbol. Grow up. Who's running this channel? Someone that dedicates their life to their perfect physique and talent. They can't show it off. Bunch of morons up here. Shut ya blank ass up. Let's see here. what will you do when you realize bodybuilder women wear bikinis to showcase their muscles? Let's see. It goes on and on here. Yeah, only men are allowed to do that. I heard a lot of the comparisons that the men are wearing underwear and they're wrestling in their underwear and all that. She can look strong and hot at the same time. She's doing a gimmick. You're being weird. Let's see here. I've been called a virgin. Kind of difficult when I have kids, but yeah, it goes on and on. A lot of stuff like that, right? Even on Instagram and all a lot of other outlets. So fine. Now, Rhea Ripley, she can do whatever she wants. Okay. I know a lot of people have this fantasy world where they believe The Handmaid's Tale is a precursor to what could happen in this world. It's not. Won't ever happen. When you have to use fantasy to present your arguments, you probably lost the argument. When things aren't actually based in reality, you lose off the bat. What I'm simply saying in my argument was that so many women in wrestling fought to come out of the labeling of sex symbols, which is all WWE did for about a decade in WWE with the Divas era, the Attitude era. Think about everything they did with the women in WWE. And the women in the Women's Revolution fought so hard to come out of that, to quote unquote give divas a chance, to reestablish women's wrestling as women's wrestling, and to revalue it, to recreditize it by making it about wrestling and storylines and angles and feuds, instead of just bra and panties matches, gravy bowl matches, bikini matches, pillow fights, live sex shows. You guys saw it. If you were there during the Ruthless Aggression and Attitude eras, you all saw it. And I'm glad WWE went that road to bring the women into the forefront. They headline WrestleManias, SummerSlams, they have their own Rumble match, done Hell in a Cells, go down the list, right? They have their own now U.S. title, Intercontinental, Tag Team, and 2 World Championships. Wonderful. So I've done all that. And then you still have women on air doing some things, but especially off air, like Rhea Ripley, and I've picked on her, or actually, I shouldn't say pick on her. I have noticed her. Again, that's this. I have the problem of sin of noticing. Apparently, I'm not allowed to notice these things, which is really the big problem. But others as well, Jade Cargill, and others who have just posted pictures on Instagram, Twitter, wherever, and it's been very much it's a sexual tone to it. Now, some may say, "Oh, that's your problem. That's how you look at it." No. When you see something and you are purposely avoiding what the purpose of that photo is, you're being purposely obtuse, is what you're doing. You are avoiding the point, and you know you are, and shielding it behind, well, she's just showing off her muscles. Yeah, that's not the purpose of that. You can show off your muscles in a zillion other ways. And the purpose of her putting this photo out, she knew what kind of reaction that she was going to get. And you don't break the internet by showing off your muscles, by the way. There's really only one way to break the internet as a woman. And we've seen it time and again with celebrities or wrestling stars that do this. And again, they can do whatever they want. But what you can't do is tell me to respect you as a wrestler. And then also, don't look at me as a sex symbol, even though I'm going to put out pictures that are overtly sexual. And then tell me that I'm not supposed to notice. I also don't work on pre-approved opinions. Right? Everybody's got their own opinion. I understand that. And what I've done is stumbled into an opinion that is not pre-approved by the feminist masses. And I really don't care. Okay. I am actually fighting for women's wrestling to stay women's wrestling. And what you don't do, if you want women's wrestling to survive and not regress, is to continue to legitimize them as wrestlers because we're watching wrestling. All right. And even on air, Liv Morgan has been guilty of it. Obviously, Rhea Ripley dozens of times has done it, and they get the attention, they get the reaction, they get the clicks, they get the likes, the hearts, all these things, and picture of the week on Instagram, and oh my God, look at Liv Morgan's jeans that are so tight up her ass. And, and look at this, right? And that's fine. You get the attention you want, but it's if you get the attention that you are seeking and then also get angry at the attention that you're getting, that you just sought after, I should say, you can't have it both ways. You want attention, you get it. And then when it's not the right attention that you want, you're saying, well, wait, no, that's not the right attention I wanted. Here's the pre-approved attention that I want. That's not how the world works. It's not how men work. And the argument too, that men are doing the same thing in wrestling. Well, sure. Shawn Michaels was at times a very overt, and he's got pictures of it too, a very overt sexual character. I never liked that part of it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was dumb. No need for it. I don't think that kind of stuff, man or woman, is needed in wrestling. I don't. Because you know why? Because there are a billion other places in entertainment and otherwise on the internet to get that content if you want it. It's at your fingertips. It doesn't need to seep into my professional wrestling. There are, again, every other outlet, you're constantly saturated with it. I don't want it in pro wrestling. That's just my opinion. And the fact that men are in tights, well, yeah, they are, because that's how men compete. And I'm not saying Rhea Ripley and company and all the women are in bra and panties, but they're in athletic gear competing. Now the men are in their tights or, whatever they're wearing, long pants and shirtless. But let me just say this too. Who is the core demographic of the wrestling world? Who's the core consumer? What demographic do they fit? Is it men? Is it females 18 to 30? Is it, old women, older, 55 to 75? No, the core demographic has been and continues to be males 18 to 45. That is their key demo. It continues to be their key demo, and I foresee it forever being their key demo. Okay. That means that when you put these photos out, you know exactly what kind of audience you're going to attract and the reaction you're going to get. And you can't be mad when you get that reaction from part of the audience. All right. I know that when you put it out, the pre-approved opinion is, oh, yes, queen, you go, girl, hashtag boss bitch, all that stuff. That's just like the most insufferable stuff of all time. All of that is the pre-approved opinions. But you can't get angry when you're a public figure putting out public photos. No one leaked your stuff. It wasn't a page leak, from, what was it, 10 years ago, whatever it was. That's wrong. First of all, that's a whole nother topic. My point is that it's not a page leak. Okay. This is a voluntary post by a public figure putting out a photo like this. And then when you have not just me, but other women saying, we don't need this. Apparently that's not the pre-approved opinion that we're supposed to have. And I don't care at all. In fact, it makes me want to triple down on my stance when people say that. So, Rhea Ripley can continue to do what she wants. The women on the roster can continue to do what they want. I am not prescribing or advocating or trying to put my thumb down on any of the women, even if I could. You do whatever you want to do, but you can't expect to put something out there with a male 18 to 45 demo and say, oh, respect women's wrestling. Look at me. I'm a women's wrestler. Also, here's a 90%. Here's a picture of me about 90% naked. And you're only allowed to look at me through eyes of pro wrestling. It's not going to happen. You know why? Because we're men. We're wired differently. Extremely visual creatures. It's just what we are. Don't care. It's not even up for debate. That's not even like something that is you could have it back and forth with. That's just science, right? We all know that. So, hey, I'll get some bad feedback for this. I really could care less, because at the core, I think people know that this is not the best course for the women's division when you have social media and you have the overtly sexual stuff, which is, again, I'm not offended. I don't care. I personally don't care. Okay. It doesn't affect my life. I'm giving it to you from a fan perspective with 3 decades of experience watching the product, that this is just not a good idea if you're trying to accomplish the goal of, keeping the women's division in a respectable place and getting the key demographic of men to respect that division, when at the same time you're also putting this stuff out on a regular basis and then going, yeah, it's just to show off my muscles. Yeah, I'm sure. Right. How many times you see somebody put on something, social media, especially women who put stuff on social media, and it's, their caption is about something else in the photo, but what you're really, and they hope you really are focusing on, is something about them, whether it's physical, especially physical, like, they have a big cleavage shot and it's like, oh, notice you see that nice house in the back? Yeah. It's like, stop. Everybody knows what you're doing. But then if you notice, you get excoriated for it. Again, it's the sin of noticing. That's what this is about. Like, we're not supposed to notice this stuff or say anything. We're not allowed to question it. We're just supposed to parrot the latest, the latest approved narrative. And I don't do that. And that angers some people. And I really don't care. I really don't care. But this is just how I feel. So anyway, that's how I feel. I know that there's a lot of people who are not happy with my opinion. That's fine. You should see some of the comments. Like, you're an effing bum, small D energy. Let's see here. What an effing loser response for a dude that Jay's off wrestling cosplay on a daily basis. You have a wrestling podcast, you effing loser. Oh, this is good. You gay dude. Typical misogynist. Oh, this is good. Oh my God. I didn't even see some of these, but, anyway, so yeah, it goes on and on. It goes on and on. And all these male feminists are really what make it the worst. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for my listening Raw review. If you listen to the back half of this, I do appreciate it. Whether you agree or not, it's fun to debate. All right. If you want to go ad free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. If you want to join us on X, wrestling_audio, search for the WWE podcast. And we're doing live shows that'll be announced shortly later in the week. All right, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.